Well, hey, everybody, welcome. I want to extend a special welcome to all of our campuses who are joining us today. Even though we're highlighting North Campus, we've got Buda Campus and we've got South Campus joining us. So North, would you make some noise and welcome all of our campuses here? Thank you for coming. If we haven't had a chance to meet before, my name's Justin. I'm one of the pastors here, and it's my honor to get to share the stage with this group from our North Campus team, which we're going to get to in just a minute. But I just wanted to kind of anchor our time together. Every summer we do a Voices series, and they always kind of have a slightly different angle, and we're really lifting up the voices of the people in our church for a really specific reason. In the book of Ephesians, the Apostle Paul writes to us, and we talked about this last week, of how he and God has prepared for us good works to step into. And we celebrated that with our South Campus team. But I wanted to read kind of the next part of what Paul goes on to say from his letter to the Ephesians, a group of people very much like us. He's writing again to a very kind of a hodgepodge, a diverse group of people. And he says this. He says this in verse 19 in chapter 2. So then, you are no longer strangers and sojourners. You are fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God, built on the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Christ Jesus himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom the whole structure, being joined together, grows into a holy temple in the Lord. In him you also are being built together into a dwelling place for God by the Spirit. Paul is saying God is taking a wildly diverse group of people, and he's bringing them together from all walks of life, and through them, as he inhabits that collection of people, something beautiful spills out to the world. He's like, this is something holy. He says you're members of the household of God, and that's really why we wanted to hear from these folks, because these are practitioners. Like Carlos said, not necessarily perfect, but people who have stepped into some things that God is doing. And they really chose to say, you know what? I am a part of this thing, this members of the household of God, fellow citizens in the kingdom of God. So I'm really privileged to get to introduce you to them today. Would you welcome our kids check-in team from here at the North Campus? So give them a round of applause, please. Well, we have right here to my left here, we've got Tamia, who serves on staff as our early childhood director, as well as the leader of this check-in team. And then next to her, we've got Tamara, and then Trey, and then Brenda, who all serve as a part of our check-in team. So yeah. You all have some fans in the room. It's cool to hear. So we'd love to get to know you all a little bit. Some of you really already know these folks, especially if you have kids. You check in, you see these faces all the time, but you don't always get a chance to know the story. So Tamia, let's start with you. Can you give us a snapshot of kind of your journey to this spot, to serving on staff, but also to really being a part of the check-in team?
Yeah, awesome. So in 2019 is when my family first came to Gateway. And at the time, before we came, we were going to my home church, my husband and our two kids. And it's a traditional Southern Baptist church. So long services. And my kids came to us and said, we hate church.
Oh.
And we're like,
no.
Oh, okay, well, we got to love Jesus. So we were like, okay, we got to do something different. So two of my amazing friends were like, hey, you guys could come try Gateway. And so we're like, okay, we'll give it a try. So we came one Sunday as a whole family, sat over there. That was like our section. And we actually got to hear Justin speak that Sunday, and so then the next Sunday we came back and we decided to take the kids to kids church. And when we immediately walked in the building, we were greeted by Tamara and her amazing smile, and dropped off the kids. And I was a bit reluctant because our younger son does have autism, and so I was like, how is this gonna go? Yeah. So we went to church, picked them up, and they were like, we love it here. Can we come all the time? And we were like, all right, this is our church. So immediately, I've always just had a servant's heart to serve. So immediately got plugged in with check-in at the 11:15 team, and Trey was on that team with me. And from there, I walked through leadership, and then next, it was kind of like, okay, God, what do you have for me? And at that time, a part-time position opened up to oversee the check-in team, and I applied, and the rest is history.
That's great. Thanks for sharing it.
Awesome.
Tamara, you've been, I know since I started coming to Gateway, you're one of the most consistent faces I've seen back there at Check-In. What's the story that kind of led you to be a part of it?
Calling me like seasoned. I don't know. But yeah, I've been at the Check-In team for about 15 years. It didn't feel like 15 years, but I know my son is 14 and he wasn't born yet, so that's how I come up with 15. Back when it used to be a boat, for those of you who had checked in your kids, there was a literal boat in the kids' building, and that's where we checked the kids in. I grew up in a military family, and part of that, we attended church on the military base, which was really neat because as people moved in and out, you got to meet so many people with such different viewpoints, so many different life experiences. But then at the same time, they were all there to talk about God and how much they love Jesus. And I just remember growing up feeling so loved, not just, as a military family, you don't grow up around like your immediate family, right? Your grandmas live in different places, your aunts and uncles and cousins, they're all over. Yeah. But being at church, those were people who watched me grow from like a little kid to, graduating, heading off into the world. And so moving to a city where my family didn't live, when my husband and I got married and we were looking for a church home, I wanted that for my kids. I wanted them to grow up and meet different people, different ideas, but also know that those people loved them and cared about them and could help them find who they were, and saw them like through the beauty that God had made them to be.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing a bit of that with us. So Trey, you're like a business owner in our community, but I think you also are familiar with the boat days back in the kids' building. So how have your path intersected with all this?
Yes, so thank you. My husband and I actually came to first find Gateway with some friends of ours, Liz and Ty Hill, who were members. And it was quite a long time ago. It was back when Gateway was at the Jewish synagogue. So, and I, like Tamara, also think about dates as it relates to the age of my kids. So I had one born in 2007, so it must have been 2006, around that time frame. And my husband and I really loved some of the aspects of Gateway because it reminded us of the things we loved about Austin. The music was great, and we loved that. It was a diverse organization, and it was very important. His family grew up Catholic. I grew up similar to Timia, Southern Baptist, a little teeny bit of fire and brimstone there. So wanted to find a church that led not so much with judgment, but led with love. And that's what we found here. And so when Gateway moved to this location, we were just a part of the congregation attending church. And then I got pregnant, and as my kids were born, I now have an 18-year-old and 16-year-old. I think you might have a picture somewhere. But we wanted them to grow up in a church and feel loved and to have the opportunity to learn about faith. So Gateway was a good home for us, and my kids grew up actually in Gateway Kids, which it's hard for me not to say Kids Quest, and the boat. We did grow up with the boat. And my kids actually volunteered once they got out of elementary school into middle school. They volunteered to support other kids in Gateway Kids now. So it was a great opportunity to serve. And I felt strongly about it because when I came and started volunteering with a check-in team, I remembered bringing my kids to church and we had the opportunity to grow up in a family with faith. So I felt very fortunate for that, but my family is more than 3 hours away. So with my husband and I both working outside the home, it was a long week. And then on the weekend, seeing the kids in the evening and then having them, being able to bring them to church, and maybe they may or may not get here with 2 shoes on and with diapers, but by the time we made it here, having a friendly face there to welcome us, and if we might have been 5 or 10 minutes late, and it was okay. So I love being able to provide that service to others because I see people come in with wide eyes and they usually manage to get both shoes on the kids and come with diapers. And some of them have 3 to 5 kids, which I'm always impressed because just having 2 was plenty for me. But I love to be able to serve and make individuals feel at home and be able to come for an hour just to have a break, listen to the message, to be able to grow and learn in faith. And know their kids are in a place where they can grow and learn in faith as well.
That's so great. Trey, I love how you break, like your kids have, feel free to. Your kids are in high school now, and it would be really easy, I think, for a lot of people just to go, well, I did my time, I'm like moving on, and but you've continued to do this. I love the way, when we were talking earlier this week, she was just like, I remember that feeling, and it's like, I think a lot of us, as we move towards Jesus, we realize his heart is inherently to serve, and you're busy, and you got a lot going on, but you're still finding a way to contribute to people who are once in a very similar spot than you. I think that's really beautiful. I just wanted to make a point of that. Brenda, tell us a little bit about your journey to be a part of the kids check-in team. Fan section.
So my husband and I found ourselves here in Austin, both pretty new to the area in 2020, and we were newlyweds, and we felt led at such a time to find a home church. And so we started shopping online, as they say, and watching different services, and as soon as Gateway's in-service services opened back up, we came, and even though it was such a difficult time for the world and for the church, it kind of worked out for us because we got to dip our toes in and kind of start off slow because we were both a little bit shy. And then we soon found different opportunities to serve here. And then soon I met Tamia, and I kind of shared my deep love for children and families with her. And I started to serve on the check-in team.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so you've been serving for a little while now. What have you loved about it? Like, what has been, I don't know if there's like a favorite moment that sticks out or something that's just been personally meaningful to you watching the team serve together.
Yeah, that reminds me of this one time. We're such a diverse group of people with different backgrounds, and it's just so fun to know that we share a passion and a love for people. And I remember this one moment where it was so evident because there was a mom that walked in with her 5 kids by herself. And I just saw all the ladies squirm out from behind the desk, and each one grabbed a kid, and one went to the infant room, and one went upstairs, and mom got all her tags and everything, and then, she went about her business. And it was just so encouraging to see that a small moment like that could bring peace to a nervous parent or help a child to be seen. And I just knew that this was a place where I belonged because they were there to serve and love people.
Love that. Love that. That's it. I think that's one of the things that we miss a lot of the times. You're like, wait a minute, even small interactions like that go a long way. Just helping somebody feel. Maybe you've experienced that before. I'm just like, I'm glad somebody was there to intercept me in my hot mess of a family here in one moment as we walked in. Like, it makes a huge difference. And what it does is it conveys the heart of God. And you all do that. You've done that for my family. I know that for sure. Tamara, I'm curious for you. How has this, it's one thing to watch other people benefit. How have you personally been impacted, and how's this been meaningful to you serving on this team?
So one way that it's been really meaningful is through my kids. So I've got 2 teenage boys. They went to kids, Gateway Kids, all the way from little bitties through 5th grade. And during their time, they were really built into. Kind of like I said earlier, I wanted them to know that people cared about them. And they've taken that and turned it around, and were really equipped to find out who they are and what their personal gifts are. And so they're both serving now in Gateway Kids, but not just like a general throw them in. They figured out what matched them. They were helped and guided. Maddie really walked alongside my second son to figure out what would be a good fit for him. And so they're both serving, and it's been really special to like go together as a family.
That's really cool.
And then as an individual, just for myself, sometimes we forget that as moms, like we make a lot is about our kids. But one of my teammates at the 9:15 check-in, we started doing little Bible studies together in the Bible app. And so we do the ones that are like 3 days and 5 days, and we were pretty happy with that. Growing up in the church, I've always read sections of the Bible, and I would start to say, I'm going to read the whole thing. And I would get started, and then I'd stop, right? Something would come, life would get busy. So we decided to do that together. And so we will finish the Bible at the end of this year.
Wow.
It's been really nice. We read each day. We communicate through the app and talk and really help each other grow in ways I didn't see coming. I didn't know what reading the whole thing would do for me. But having her there with me has really helped me keep going and see things.
That's so cool. That's such a great picture of how the team serves you, not just you all as servants of other people along the way. I love that. So one of the things that I'd love for Tamia to share a little bit about with us is, so there's another member of the team that couldn't be here for this service. She was here at the 9:15. Her name is Lelia, and she's got a really profound story and was able to share it a little bit. But it's a picture of how this team kind of became more than a team, but kind of moved towards like family. So Tamia, would you give us like a little glimpse of Lelia's story?
Yeah, awesome. Lelia is totally okay with us sharing this journey of hers and her husband. So how it all kind of started was at Pray First. She put a prayer card out there and had it on the table. And so part of Pray First, we as staff come in an hour of that whole Pray First series, and we just grab random cards and just pray over them and pray for people, not knowing anything. And so that day I came in and just out of nowhere, that card picked it up, and it happened to be Lelia's card. And it explained her and her husband's journey of 4+ years of infertility. And so she at first hadn't opened up to any of us about that. And so I saw her card and I reached out and said, hey, we're praying for you. We're here for you. We got you. And so that's when she realized that this was her community, her family, and she let that guard down and she really just let go and let God. And this team prayed for her, we're there for her, and now we can say she has a beautiful baby boy, Liam, that is 3 months old.
That's great.
And so it was just an amazing journey for her. They had no family here at the time, and so we were all like, hey, we've got to throw her a baby shower. Like, we've got to do something to, like, you know, celebrate this milestone. So our team immediately got together and hosted a baby shower for her, and so now they're just loving on their baby boy.
That's so great. It's been really cool to watch her go like, hey man, this really has become more like an extended sense of family to me, especially being so far apart from her original family, but like the sense of being cared for and loved. She was describing it to me. She was like, that was one thing I didn't expect. Like, she's like, I wasn't even sure I had that much to offer when I stepped in to serve. And it's like, I've received so much beyond what I've given out. Like, I feel like I have been filled up, and it's just been really beautiful to watch. I'm curious for you, with the advantage point of being a staff member now and having served alongside, what's on your heart as you've watched these women? Like, how have they grown and how have they changed? What's been the benefit to them from being a part of this team in your eyes?
So Brenda here, as most don't know, she serves in kids, students, and her fan base over there in students. So she serves in those two, and she also serves on our baptism team recently. And so just to see her growth and how she started out so shy and didn't think she had anything to offer. And just when we have families that come in and instantly have student age kids, she just like gravitates and she's like, well, let me tell you about students. Me and my husband have our own small group. And so how she just like, that's her passion. And she never thought that being in kids, that passion for all of those things would work together. And so it's just to show that like the community and how it all comes together. And so having her in kids is amazing, just to have that extra little help when it comes to like families that have student-aged kids.
That's great.
Yeah, and then for Trey, as Tamara said, they're seasoned. And so Trey has just always just been like reliable. Since I've been, as far as like serving and then coming on staff, no matter what, she's there, she's available. And so she just always is willing to help, step in wherever she can. And so as a mom with, a kid going off to college, that's not easy, but she still wants to serve in kids and be a part of kids. Yeah, and then for Tamara, as she said, seasoned. She's been in kids for a while, and just seeing like her boys and her husband just showing leadership and how to serve and give back, and seeing them do it for theirs, like model that for their kids, and now their kids are serving. And so they just all are amazing. Whenever I need absolutely anything, they're there. This year I took on a new role and started overseeing early childhood, and they immediately said, "We got you. What do you need? Like, we're here." And they literally are here and have it. And then just not these three ladies on the stage, there's so many other people a part of my check-in team that I absolutely could not do what I do every Sunday without them, sorry. And so even for today, being on stage and not being in the kids building, they all were like, "We got it, like, we'll take care of it, do what you need to do."
That's so great. Thank you for speaking into their lives along the way. One of the things you don't always see coming when you take one step is that God kind of has other steps in mind for you, things you never could have contemplated towards the beginning. Brenda, I'm curious for you. Tamia mentioned baptism as like something that you're now involved in that you weren't originally. And I know there's been some really fun developments there as we get to celebrate Baptism Day. Can you share us just a little bit with that?
Yes, it was actually something I'd been praying about for a while, and God made it come to pass. This past week, I had the opportunity to pray with someone as they made the decision to accept Jesus Christ as the Lord of their life.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it's something that I can't even really put into words other than it was just so beautiful and full of joy. And just to be able to stand with someone during such a personal turning point in their lives and kind of partner with Christ as he's drawing someone near to he himself, it's such a humbling and beautiful experience. And I just really love it, and it helps remind me that it's Jesus that's doing all the heavy lifting, and all I have to do is give my yes. So if it's something you've been considering to serve, I just say, go for it. Give it a shot, because you never know where your yes will lead to.
That's great. That's a perfect setup. So I'd love for each one of them to what is on your heart? Like Brenda's just like, hey, if this is ever where you've been, anything from the rest of you, like kind of a word of encouragement to these folks as they're listening and all that. Go for it, Dre.
So I'll start. I would say each one of us, although we don't always see it in ourselves, each one of us has a gift. And if you can find a way to make that gift available and share with others, it's a great way for us to live out our purpose, and then also to grow in our faith and our life. So by serving at Check-In, I feel like I have the opportunity to be the heart of Jesus, be the hands and the feet, and serve others. And I feel like I grow through that opportunity.
That's great. Tamara?
I think what I would say is give it a try, right? You don't know what it could lead to. When I said, let me try out Check-In, I didn't think I would be doing it for 15 years. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I just said, let me try. And you don't ever know the impact that the smile you gave on one day would make, or the simple statement that you said to someone when they came in. So wherever you serve, you don't have to do the work. God's going to do the work, right? You just have to be there and let him use you to do it.
That's great. Go for it, Tamia.
Awesome. I would say that we're all called to be servants of God and to serve. And this group is a prime example that there is growth and community and being a part of a community. And I would just say, step out on faith. You never know unless you try. You never know that there's everyone thinks, oh, I have nothing to offer, but there's something for someone everywhere. And so I would just say, step out in faith, try. We would always take you at the kids team. But hey, there's a million places to serve here at Gateway, and we as Gateway staff could not do what we do without the community behind us, and that is all of our volunteers, because you guys are the boots on the ground, and you are the face of Gateway. And so who to tell the story better and to bring others closer to Jesus than to be at the forefront. So I would just say, step out on faith. You don't know unless you try.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing your voice with us and for really the ways that you serve. I'd love to just pray for you all and just ask everybody to pray for it. And then we'll also kind of, like we did last week with South Campus, we'll just pray God's blessing on the entirety of North Campus as we're continuing to serve him in this way. But pray with me for a minute. God, thank you so much for this team. Thanks for these individual women and how you have used their lives and that simple yes that maybe began years ago or not that long ago, but you've used every bit of it to serve family after family after family. There's kids that started out as a little one and now are moving into college and these folks have been there to serve and to bless them and to care for their families week after week. Thank you for their faithfulness, and thanks for the way we have been blessed through them. Would you now pour out a richness and a joy into them and to their families as they sort of take stock of that, and as they continue on, continuing to serve the families and the kids of our church. And God, we pray that for the entirety of North Campus. There's so many people that serve, and sometimes in very hidden ways. Some of them are a little bit more out front, but they all do this for you. And all of them are kind of in this process of learning and growing. Would you continue to knit our hearts together with yours and build us together as fellow members of the household of God so that your presence inhabits us and shines through us to the world? We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. Would you join me in thanking the kids check-in team here at North Campus one more time? Thank you all very much.